This slide introduces the next topic, built-up rate for formwork. Here, we will learn how to calculate the cost of formwork by breaking it down into labor, materials, equipment, and other related components. The goal is to understand how each element contributes to the final formwork rate used in estimating and pricing. This slide explains the materials involved in formwork construction. Formwork is used to support fresh concrete until it becomes strong enough to stand on its own. Besides giving the concrete its required shape, size, and surface finish, formwork relies on several basic materials. Common materials include reference boards or panels, nails, and strutting components. These help provide stability and maintain the correct alignment during casting. Formwork can also be reused, depending on the design requirements and how accurately it is removed after the concrete sets. This slide explains how material usage affects the cost of formwork. Formwork panels can be reused several times, but the number of reuses depends on the location. For example, floor, ceiling, roof, and wall formwork can typically be reused up to 6 times, while foundation, beam, and column formwork can be reused around 4 times. This reuse factor influences the cost per cycle. In terms of fixings, double-headed nails are commonly used. About 0.35 kilograms of nails is required for every square meter of formwork board. However, nails usually get bent or damaged after use, so the same nail quantity is needed every time the formwork is installed, even when the panels are reused. Therefore, while formwork boards can be reused, nail costs remain constant for each use. This slide shows the amount of timber required for formwork support up to a height of 3.5 meters. The table gives typical timber support volumes for different areas. Columns require about 0.02 cubic meters, foundations and walls 0.04 cubic meters, beams 0.05 cubic meters, and upper floor soffits about 0.06 cubic meters. These values help us estimate the material quantity needed for each formwork component. Additionally, we always add 10% to the material cost to account for wastage, offcuts, and unavoidable losses during construction. This slide explains the labor aspect involved in removing formwork. The table shows the minimum number of days required before formwork can be stripped off, depending on the type of cement used. For ordinary Portland cement, the sides of beams, walls, and columns can be removed after 3 days, floors after 4 days, and strutting after 10 to 21 days, depending on the structural element. For rapid hardening cement, removal times are shorter, typically between 2 and 8 days. These durations are important because the labor cost of formwork removal depends on when workers can safely dismantle the formwork without affecting the strength of the concrete. This slide presents the labor output required for preparing, installing, removing, and storing concrete formwork. For floors, roofs, and walls, installation requires 1 hour of carpenter work and 0.75 hours of ordinary worker labor per square meter. Removing and storing the formwork also takes 0.75 hours per square meter. For beams, columns, and roof verges, installation takes longer, 1.5 hours for the carpenter and 0.75 hours for an ordinary worker. Because these components are more complex, the removal time remains the same at 0.75 hours per square meter. These labor outputs are used to calculate the total labor cost in the built-up rate of formwork. This slide provides the data needed to calculate the built-up rate for formwork to the horizontal soffit of a slab, measured per square meter. We begin with the material components: plywood sheets, timber strutting, and nails, each with their respective prices. The plywood panel costs 90 ringgit per piece, the timber strutting is priced at 900 ringgit per ton, and nails cost 4 ringgit 50 sen per kilogram. The formwork is assumed to be reused 6 times, which helps reduce the cost per cycle. For labor, skilled workers are priced at 180 ringgit per day, and unskilled workers at 100 ringgit per day. Finally, labor constants from the tables are included: 0.75 hours per square meter for unskilled fixing, 1.0 hour per square meter for skilled fixing, 0.75 hours per square meter for removal, and 0.06 cubic meters of timber support per square meter based on earlier data. These inputs will be used to build up the complete formwork rate in the next steps. This slide shows the calculation of material cost for formwork to the soffit of a slab per square meter. First, the plywood cost. 90 ringgit per sheet divided by its area gives 31.25 ringgit per square meter. Next, the timber strutting. 0.06 cubic meters per square meter multiplied by 900 ringgit per ton, adjusted for the timber density of 1.40 cubic meters per ton, gives 35.57 ringgit per square meter. The total formwork material value is 66.82 ringgit per square meter. Since the formwork can be reused 6 times, the cost per use becomes 11.14 ringgit per square meter. The nails cost 1.58 ringgit per square meter. Adding everything together gives 12.72 ringgit per square meter. Finally, we include 10% wastage, which adds 1.28 ringgit per square meter. So the total material cost for the formwork is 14 ringgit per square meter. This slide shows the labor cost calculation for formwork to the slab soffit. First, unskilled labor for fixing formwork costs 9 ringgit and 38 sen per square meter. Next, skilled labor for fixing formwork costs 22.50 ringgit per square meter. Then, unskilled labor for removing the formwork adds another 9.38 ringgit per square meter. Altogether, the total labor cost comes to 41.26 ringgit per square meter. When we add this to the material cost of 14 ringgit per square meter, the total before profit is 55.26 ringgit per square meter. We then include 15% profit and overhead, which amounts to 8 ringgit and 30 sen. This brings the final built-up rate for the formwork to 63 ringgit and 56 sen per square meter. Thank you!